It is possible that Chris Combs' marriage to Brittany Combs is in jeopardy as a result of his decision to relocate his sister, Tammy Slaton, into house during the 6th season of 1,000 Pound Sisters. The weight loss journeys of the Slaton family are meticulously documented in the series, which made its debut in the year 2020. Despite the fact that the show concentrates on Tammy Slaton, who is 38 years old, and Amy Slaton, who is 37 years old, their 3 other siblings, including Chris, who is 44 years old, are also a significant part of the plot. In spite of the fact that Chris is always there for his family whenever they require his assistance, the Slatons are a very close-knit family. However, when Tammy needed a place to live, Chris found himself in a challenging situation. Tammy weighed more than 600 pounds when she made her debut on television, and she would go on to reach a maximum weight of 725 pounds at several points in her career. During that time period, she had restricted movement and required assistance with her day-to-day activities. There was never a time when she did not rely on her family, particularly Chris, who was always there for her. Despite the fact that Tammy has gained more mobility, she has not yet been able to make the move to a life that is more independent. She has not yet learned how to take care of herself entirely, and she recently put Chris in a dreadful situation that could compromise his joyful marriage to Brittany, who is 36 years old. Additionally, the 1,000 Pound Sisters actress has not yet learned how to take care of herself. Why it is necessary for Tammy to relocate. Throughout the years, Tammy has shared her home with virtually every member of her family. She had been living with her mother, Darlene Rednor, prior to the release of 1,000 Pound Sisters. The temperament of Tammy is impulsive, and she may be tricky to get along with. Darlene can be just as difficult to get along with. Following the disastrous conclusion of the arrangement, Tammy relocated to live with her sister, Amy. Following Amy's marriage to Michael Halterman, Tammy relocated to the house that was adjacent to hers. For the first time in her life, Tammy lived by herself, and she found that it was beneficial to her. With Amy and Michael living next door, she was still able to fulfill all of her day-to-day requirements, but she now enjoyed some degree of autonomy. Following a health emergency that left Tammy in the hospital, she made the decision that she needed to lose weight, and as a result, she checked herself into a rehabilitation facility that specializes in weight loss. During the time that Tammy was away seeking medical attention, her home was broken into and she was robbed of all of her belongings. When she left rehabilitation, she did not have a sense of security there. After some time, she decided to relocate to a home that was owned by her other sister, Amanda Halterman, who is 43 years old. The bariatric surgery that Tammy underwent resulted in her shedding 500 pounds, which allowed her to regain her mobility and finally be able to take care of herself. With regard to the rental property, Tammy and Amanda got into a heated argument during the 6th season of the show 1,000 Pound Sisters. After Tammy made the accusation that Amanda was a poor landlord, Amanda evicted Tammy from the property. After providing Amanda with her notice, Tammy began the process of seeking for a new place to reside. Recently, Chris had purchased the house that was adjacent to his own, and he made an offer to Tammy to purchase it. Due to the fact that the house required a significant amount of maintenance, Tammy was required to move in with Chris and Brittany, Chris's wife, for a period of several weeks. It is possible that moving in with Chris and Brittany will be problematic for everyone involved, given that Tammy has a history of conflict with every person she has ever shared a home with. One of Tammy's family members has let her down. Throughout the 6th season of 1,000 Pound Sisters, Tammy has shown that she harbors hatred toward her family. Because Amanda has not been taking care of the house that she rented to her, she is irate with her. Chris had to come over at one point in order to cover a broken window that Tammy said Amanda refused to pay for. He did this by covering it with plastic film. There are other siblings than Amanda whom Tammy is upset with. In addition, she is upset with Chris and her other sister, Misty Wentworth, who is 48 years old, for not being as emotionally available to her once she is discharged from rehabilitation center. As Tammy was receiving treatment at the rehabilitation center, her siblings made every effort to be accessible to her. She stated that her siblings would phone her on a regular basis or check on her, as stated by the star of the 6th season of 1,000-Pound Sisters. On the other hand, she claims that after she returned, the daily phone calls and visits stopped, which left her feeling quite dissatisfied. It is because Tammy is so enraged by her family that she has been making threats to completely leave the state of Kentucky. Kentucky is the location where the show is filmed, and the Slatons have lived there for a significant amount of time. Given that Tammy and Amy are the focus of the show, the possibility exists that the show will be canceled if Tammy decides to depart. The house that Chris had acquired was not something that Tammy was impressed with when Chris took her to see it. The house had been vacant for 20 years and had fallen into a condition of neglect during that time. A lawnmower was even positioned in the midst of the living room, in addition to holes in the walls, a ceiling that was leaking, and carpets that were in a state of disrepair. Tammy, who had few other choices, consented to move into the house, despite the fact that its preparation would require some effort on her part. Because Tammy had already given Amanda her notice, she was forced to move in with Chris for a period of 3 weeks while he prepared the new house. This was because she had run out of time. Will it be possible for Chris and Brittany to reside with Tammy? Rather than attempting to negotiate a solution with Amanda in order to give herself more time, Tammy let her obstinate ego to get in the way. During the 6th season of 1,000-Pound Sisters, she relocates to the residence of Chris and Brittany. Already, Chris's daughter and granddaughter are residing with the couple, thus the house is already completely occupied. As a result of the fact that Tammy can be difficult to get along with, Brittany expressed her anxiety regarding the arrangement. However, Chris would never allow a member of the family to become homeless. Despite the fact that Brittany is a wonderful wife who is always there for the Slatons, the fact that she lives with Tammy may cause tension between her and Chris. Ms. Slaton Tammy. At the age of 38, 500 pounds were shed. A. Slaton, Amy, 37.5 years of age, 169 pounds were shed. A. Combs, Chris, 44.0 years of age, 150 pounds were shed. It is Amanda Halterman, 43.5 years of age. She shed 31 pounds. Theresa Slaton Wentworth Misty. At the age of 48, she shed 74 pounds. The reality TV show 1,000-Pound Sisters has captivated audiences with its compelling depiction of the lives of Tammy and Amy Slaton, two sisters struggling with obesity, and their journey to improve their health. One of the most significant dynamics of the show revolves around the Slaton family, including the involvement of their brother Chris Combs and his wife Brittany. As the series progresses, fans have witnessed multiple twists and turns in the relationships and struggles faced by each of the family members. One of the most significant and controversial plotlines is Chris's decision to bring his sister Tammy into his home in an effort to help her with her weight loss and recovery journey. While Chris has good intentions, his decision to move Tammy into his house has raised numerous concerns for viewers and, more importantly, for his marriage to Brittany. In this piece, we will delve into the complexities of this decision and explore whether it could ultimately endanger Chris and Brittany's relationship. Furthermore, we will discuss whether Brittany could potentially live with Tammy and what impact that would have on both her marriage and the overall family dynamic. The background: Chris, Brittany, and Tammy. To understand the implications of Chris's decision, it's crucial to first explore the backgrounds of the key players involved in this situation. Chris Combs is one of the central figures in 1,000-Pound Sisters who, alongside his wife Brittany, has been supportive of his sister's journeys. Brittany Combs, a key member of the show, has often been portrayed as a no-nonsense, tough but caring woman, deeply concerned for her husband's family but also protective of her own marriage. Their relationship, while seemingly solid, is beginning to face tensions as a result of Chris's choices regarding Tammy's living situation. Tammy Slaton, on the other hand, has been one of the most divisive characters on the show. Her weight issues, emotional struggles, and resistance to certain aspects of her recovery journey have made her both sympathetic and frustrating to viewers. She has faced criticism for her self-destructive behavior, often sabotaging her progress. Despite these obstacles, Tammy has shown some desire to improve her life, and Chris believes that bringing her into his home will provide her with the structure and support she needs to make real changes. But this decision is far from simple. Chris's choice to move Tammy into his house is not just a matter of offering her a place to stay, it's a profound shift in the family dynamics, one that has the potential to cause strain in his marriage to Brittany. Let's examine why. The tension between Chris and Brittany. Chris's decision to move Tammy into his home has undeniably caused tension between him and Brittany. From the outside looking in, it's easy to see why Brittany would feel upset and frustrated by this decision. After all, Chris is essentially asking his wife to make room for another person in their home, a person who has consistently demonstrated poor decision-making and a lack of commitment to her own health journey. Additionally, Tammy's past behavior has included outbursts and moments of defiance, which can be challenging for anyone to deal with on a daily basis. For Brittany, the issue is not just about the physical space Tammy occupies in their home, but also the emotional and mental toll that caring for her may take on both her and Chris. While Chris wants to help his sister, Brittany has a valid concern about the strain this could place on their marriage. She may fear that her own needs and desires will be sidelined as Chris becomes more focused on his sister's recovery. Moreover, Brittany might feel that Chris is neglecting their relationship by prioritizing his sister's needs over their own. It's possible that she feels isolated or even resentful of Tammy's presence in their home, as it might be a reminder of the emotional weight that the Slaton family carries. Tammy's struggles are often in the spotlight, and it's difficult to ignore the fact that she has not always made the best choices when it comes to her health or her interactions with those around her. Brittany might question whether she is truly being heard in the midst of all the chaos Tammy's presence brings. Chris's motivations: helping Tammy or alienating Brittany? From Chris's perspective, his decision to move Tammy in stems from a deep desire to help his sister. He understands that Tammy's weight loss journey is fraught with difficulties, and he believes that the support and accountability offered by living in a structured home environment will benefit her. Having witnessed Tammy's struggles on the show, Chris is likely motivated by a combination of love, guilt, and the hope that he can be the one to help his sister succeed where others have failed. However, Chris's motivations raise some critical questions. Does he fully understand the toll that his decision is taking on Brittany? Is he aware of how deeply this might affect his marriage? The fact that he is willing to put Tammy's needs ahead of his own relationship could be seen as a red flag. While it's commendable that he wants to help Tammy, there's a fine line between being supportive and enabling dysfunctional behavior. If Chris is so focused on Tammy's well-being that he neglects the needs of his marriage, it could lead to resentment and frustration in the long run. Furthermore, the dynamics between Chris and Brittany might change as Chris becomes more involved in Tammy's recovery. If Tammy's situation worsens, or if she proves difficult to manage, Chris could become more emotionally invested in her, leaving Brittany feeling sidelined. This is a common issue in families where one member requires an extraordinary amount of care, and it often results in tension and burnout for the caregiver. For Brittany, her fears about this could be very real. The challenges of living with Tammy. Living with Tammy Slaton is not an easy task. Viewers have watched over the course of 1,000-Pound Sisters as Tammy's behavior has become increasingly erratic, with frequent moments of defiance and self-sabotage. She has struggled to stick to her weight loss goals and has often lashed out at those trying to help her. Moving in with Tammy would mean dealing with these challenges on a daily basis, something that Brittany might not be prepared for. For Brittany, the challenges of living with Tammy could include managing her emotional outbursts, navigating Tammy's resistance to change, and dealing with the tension that arises when Tammy refuses to take responsibility for her actions. Tammy's behavior has been described as manipulative at times, and it's clear that she is in a constant battle with herself. This kind of emotional turmoil could easily spill over into the household, creating an environment of stress and frustration. While Brittany is undoubtedly concerned for Tammy's well-being, the idea of living with her could feel like a daunting and overwhelming prospect. Even if Brittany were to agree to the arrangement, it's likely that she would have reservations about how it could impact her marriage and her mental health. The emotional toll of being in close proximity to Tammy's struggles could take a significant toll on Brittany's sense of peace and stability. Can Brittany live with Tammy? The big question is whether Brittany can live with Tammy. The answer is complicated. While it's possible that Brittany might be willing to give it a try for the sake of helping Tammy, the reality of living with someone like Tammy could lead to significant emotional strain. Brittany has her own life and needs, and she may not be prepared to sacrifice her emotional and physical well-being for an extended period of time. Brittany has also made it clear that she has limits when it comes to dealing with family drama, particularly when it affects her marriage. If Chris continues to prioritize Tammy's needs over their relationship, it's likely that Brittany will reach a breaking point. The emotional exhaustion of caring for Tammy, coupled with the strain on her relationship with Chris, could lead to resentment and emotional burnout. Ultimately, whether Brittany can live with Tammy may come down to the level of support and cooperation from both Chris and Tammy. If Tammy is willing to make an effort to follow the rules and seek help, and if Chris is able to balance his commitment to Tammy with his responsibilities as a husband, then it may be possible for Brittany to live with Tammy. However, if Tammy continues to resist change and Chris remains overly focused on his sister, it's likely that Brittany will become increasingly unhappy with the situation. The future of Chris and Brittany's marriage. As the seasons of 1,000-Pound Sisters unfold, it's clear that the future of Chris and Brittany's marriage is uncertain. While their relationship has been relatively stable up until now, the strain caused by Tammy's presence could lead to irreparable damage. For Chris and Brittany to maintain a healthy relationship, they will need to find a balance between supporting Tammy and prioritizing their own needs as a couple. If Chris continues to ignore Brittany's concerns, or if Tammy's behavior becomes even more difficult to manage, it's possible that their marriage could suffer as a result. However, if Chris and Brittany are able to communicate openly and honestly about their needs and boundaries, they might be able to navigate this difficult situation together. The decision to move Tammy into their home was a bold one, and it's clear that it has already caused significant strain on Chris and Brittany's relationship. Only time will tell whether this decision will ultimately help Tammy or whether it will create lasting damage to Chris and Brittany's marriage. In conclusion, Chris's decision to move Tammy Slaton into his home is one that has far-reaching consequences for his marriage to Brittany. While Chris is motivated by a desire to help his sister, his decision has raised concerns about the strain it may place on his relationship with his wife. Living with Tammy could be a challenging and emotionally taxing experience for Brittany, and it's uncertain whether she will be able to maintain her relationship with Chris under these circumstances. As the family continues to navigate these complex dynamics, it will be important for Chris, Brittany, and Tammy to find a way to balance their individual needs with the needs of the family as a whole. Whether or not Brittany can live with Tammy will depend on a variety of factors, including Tammy's willingness to change and Chris's ability to prioritize his marriage. If these issues are not addressed, it's possible that the strain on Chris and Brittany's marriage will only deepen, leading to long-term consequences for their relationship and their family.